Well, good evening. Chuck is off tonight. After a lull, snow is falling again in our area, and it's piling up fast. Next door in the Bronx, John Miller joins us from the scene in Pelham. John, I understand it's one of the most horrific things you've ever seen.
Absolutely, Carol. And as you said, 5 dead, 4 wounded, including the gunman. As the story develops, the alleged gunman, Mike Vernon, had been coming to this Little Chester shoe store for the past couple of weeks looking for a pair of sneakers in size 13. When he came back today, possibly the third time, and they didn't have the shoes in his size, he just snapped. In the end, it was multiple murder over a pair of shoes. Police say Michael Vernon was a man with a very short fuse and a gun. At 11:51 a.m. today, they say Vernon snapped because the sneaker store didn't have the sneakers he wanted in his size. Police say he had been here every Tuesday for weeks looking for those particular shoes. When he snapped, he shot the clerk, a woman and her boy who were trying on sneakers, another teenager, all dead. Kaiwang Bay, who this morning was celebrating her 2-year wedding anniversary with her husband, the store's owner, Chung Bay, was also killed. She died in surgery at Jacoby Hospital. Her husband, Chung Bay, watched the scene unfold in just a few horrible seconds through a peephole in a back room of the store. A highway patrol officer came upon the scene and confronted the gunman with a hostage in the store's front door. Shots were exchanged. 4 off-duty cops joined in the chase. The gunman was wounded and fell on the corner, his 9mm still cocked and covered with blood.
The guy was scared. The guy was running for his life. I think he was trying to make it to the alley and possibly get lost in the basements.
He reportedly said to off-duty police officer Felix Vasquez that they wouldn't sell him the shoes, so he shot them.
The apparent motive appears to be robbery, but it is still under investigation.
He is.
At the scene, the mother of Juan Dones, a store employee who was shot in the head, pleaded for any information. She wanted to know if her son was still alive. And the grim task of reconstructing the scene by crime scene experts and removing the dead unfolded before a stunned crowd in a light snow. Okay, here on the scene, as you see at the news conference, unfolding the latest developments from Deputy Chief Robert Camadon, our Chief of Bronx Detective. Passes overhead. It's actually rush hour, so there's a couple of trains passing overhead. But earlier we had reported that it was their wedding day. Apparently that was through a language barrier because the store owner is Korean and they had trouble understanding that. Apparently today was their 2-year wedding anniversary, just to correct that earlier report, a day that was supposed to be one of celebration that ended in tragedy. Reporting live from the Bronx, John Miller, News Channel 4.
Thank you, John. Truly unbelievable. It was the second deadly store attack in just 2 weeks. 8 people died in a store massacre in Harlem.
The Bronx. Stay with us. But as we all know, there's still a lot of it. Today, a bloodbath in the Bronx at a shoe store. 6 people dead, 3 more wounded. One of the wounded is the gunman. He came for a robbery and got into a shootout with the police. Tim Minton has the story live in the Bronx. Tim, good evening.
Good evening, Bill. In the last few moments here, we've had an update from the mayor, Giuliani, and police officials lending some light here beyond what we had previously as to why this happened. They say that this gunman, whom they identify now for the first time as 22-year-old Michael Vernon, went into the store looking to buy a pair of boots. They say he was, this is their word, displeased with the service, and that he then began, as they put it, shooting everybody in the store. Police officials say that the victims include a teenager whose Christmas shopping, they say, was interrupted by sudden violence. The bodies came out 5 hours after a 5-second confrontation left them riddled with a robber's bullets. 4 victims died inside Little Chester shoes, including a 13-year-old boy. 2 more would survive to the hospital and die there. Stunningly, it might have been worse if a lone NYPD highway patrol officer hadn't been driving by and been alerted to the horror.
And he was holding the walkie-talkie and firing at the same time.
The officer came out of his vehicle. He took his shotgun with him. He took cover, we believe, in the street here behind a parked automobile and engaged in a gunfight with a male who exited the store, shooting.
Monica Williams is a clerk at a nearby store.
So I screamed to the customers, run to the back of the store, try to get the key. Next thing I know, the shots were going off.
The officer returned fire. hitting the suspect in the groin and hand. Bleeding badly, the gunman was chased down by transit officers who happened to be having lunch 2 doors down.
We heard some shots go off. At that point, we chased the perpetrator.
And you go around the corner.
And we see people pointing that he's running in that direction, and we catch up to him, and he collapses.
After which he was rushed to the hospital along with his victims. All that remained later were some clothes stripped off the gunman by paramedics and piled up under yellow plastic. Back in front of the shoe store, blasted car windows and scattered bullet casings also provided evidence of a robbery turned to disaster. The police say that when the gunman came out of the store, he had a hostage, another person that when he saw the police officer and the police officers started to raise a rifle, that the gunman...
A little while ago, police came out here and told us that there were not 6 people dead, but there are 5 people dead here. And at this time, the massacre appears to be over a pair of boots or sneakers, and they are not quite sure if robbery was quite the motive here. Now, it happened around 11:52 this morning, and shortly about 5 o'clock, they brought some of the victims' bodies out, a female, 28, a boy, 12 years old, and then 2 other males, 16 and 30. Now, a fifth victim died at the hospital, at Jacoby Hospital, a little while later. And 4 others, including the suspect, are still at Jacoby Hospital. Now, the suspect apparently walked in, wanted a pair of boots or sneakers, and he was upset with the service, so he pulled out a 9mm and he started shooting. Somebody ran outside and flagged down a cop. The cop pulled out a rifle, and he started telling everybody to get out of the way, and that's when the suspect fired at the officer. The officer fired back several times, hitting the suspect in the groin and in the hand. Now, a short while ago, the mayor and Commissioner Bratton were out here, and they talked about the victims' injuries.
So all of the victims were shot multiple times. 5 of the 8 victims were shot at different parts of the head.
And the carnage here is a horrible, horrible thing. And I'm sure everyone in the city joins me in offering condolences and prayers to the families that have to bear this terrible grief.
The woman who died at the hospital was the shopkeeper's wife, and we understand that it was the shopkeeper and his wife's 2nd anniversary today. It's a very sad story. We're live. I'm Anita Padilla, Fox News. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Anita. We'll have, of course, an update tonight on the shooting at 10, and, of course, the storm as well. The latest, we will see you tonight.